Just knowing that the creators of The End of the World were also behind this show piqued my interest. But I couldn't stop watching the show after I started watching it, and it's based on the real experience of writer and creator Richard Gadd. In all honesty, this is among the top TV shows I've watched thus far in 2018. From the cinematography to the superb performance by Gadd to the profound depths and gloominess of the show's tone, the narration of this chilling, bewildering, and most significantly, true story about a stalker was absolutely remarkable. For that reason, I've decided to analyze the program, its eerie finale, and all the things that I found enjoyable. Alright then, let's dive in. My thoughts on Baby Reindeer are presented here. This video contains spoilers just so you are aware. The truth is that this show completely shocked me. The intricate brilliance of it lay in its depiction of Donnie's inner turmoil as he tried to make sense of his confusing emotions towards Martha, his stalker, and the trauma he had endured. She was showing him the interest he craved and giving him the accolades he craved, and he was simultaneously terrified for his life and utterly enthralled by her. She was acting selfishly by catering to his ego. Just as before, his self-esteem was through the roof. Episodes 4 and 6 were the most memorable to me from this series. In the flashback episode that took place in episode 4, we saw him meet his abuser, Darian O'Connor, 5 years ago. At the beginning of this episode, we witnessed a very different side of Donnie. A hopeful, optimistic one that was brimming with joy and cheer. After seeing Donnie's ordeal in some of the most painful sequences I've seen on television in a long time, the episode concluded with him reduced to a shell of the guy he had been at the beginning of the episode and the show as a whole. He had changed since the beginning of episode 4. It was so painful to see that I had to avert my eyes from the screen for a while throughout this episode. In order to convey how uneasy Donnie felt and how drastically it altered his life, it went to extreme lengths to show us what happened to him, even if it meant making us feel uneasy. Everything that happened between the moment he woke up and the scene cutting to black was terrible. Observing Darian's influence on him made it clear how wicked he was. Here he was, offering him the profession he had always wanted, yet behind it all, he was a charming. He finally broke Donnie and made him feel like he belonged to him. Everything seemed so genuine, and it was quite eerie. Episode 6's culmination was Donnie's public statement in which he spilled the beans about everything he had been holding back since the event. Because of what occurred to him throughout his maltreatment, Donnie disliked himself, felt insecure, and basically believed he was useless. He was always worried about how other people would perceive many parts of his life, including his sexuality, his secretive comedy, his relationships with transsexual women, and his history of abuse. We saw that he was reluctant to report Darian's actions to the authorities because he was unable to come to terms with the reality of the situation, a decision that was obviously detrimental to his mental health given the lasting impact it had on his behavior. But he told himself, "You didn't see anything in it. You only saw me," when no one was laughing at his quips on stage. This was his way of admitting and accepting the fact that Darian had taken advantage of him by playing on his hopes and dreams. Donnie then proceeded to offer an absolutely remarkable speech. It seemed like he was exhaling for the first time in a long time as he let out all of his pent-up emotions. Richard Gadd was fantastic in this scene. It was bittersweet to watch because of the drawn-out shots, the intensity of his voice, the pain evident in his facial expressions, and the relief he was finally able to express as a result of finally speaking out about his insecurities and terrible experiences. You were pleased for him because, for the first time, he was being open and honest with himself and others in a public setting. In my opinion, this was the most memorable part of the entire show. In and of itself, Martha's story was eerily disturbing. Jessica Cunning did an outstanding job as the heartless stalker who was simultaneously brimming with intense emotions. She was completely insane. It was really irritating for me, and I'm sure many others, when the police did nothing when Donnie went to them. And it was much more infuriating when they treated him the same as Martha. I felt terrible that he was being disregarded and that no one was giving him any attention. I thought it was a great decision that the show didn't have a lot of violent scenes. Despite the severity of the blow on his skull, the terror of someone even being in your vicinity, be it outside your home, in your inbox, or around a corner, is far more devastating. What struck me as relatable was the internal struggle he went through with Martha, torn between despising and wanting her dead and a strong attraction to her. Your poor self-esteem and emotional instability will return the moment you cut ties with the one who has been lavishing you with compliments, the one who is completely enamored with you. As a result, he found solace in his fixation with listening to the recordings of her complimenting him. The series finale had him entering a bar, sitting there upset like she was in the pilot, and then he forgot his wallet and got a free drink, the same kind gesture he gave to Martha at the beginning of the show, almost as if to suggest that the cycle could easily repeat itself. However, this time around the barman might turn out to be Donnie. Listening to Martha's praises was the only thing that lifted Donnie's low self-esteem. When she explained why she referred to him as her baby reindeer, he could empathize and understood. Thus, it seemed to imply that even a small act of kindness when you're down can cause a chain reaction. However, I seriously doubt that Donnie was going to keep the pattern running. Another possible outcome was that he sat there staring at the barman and suddenly realized that he was the one on the other side of the transaction. This show was breathtakingly beautiful in terms of its cinematography. It had an incredibly shiny finish with a gritty texture. I know it seems strange, but the show's atmosphere was perfectly complemented by the red color scheme and dark oak wood. At the time, I thought it looked as amazing as the end of the Thing world, and it looked just as terrific. The fact that Richard Gadd dealt with a stalker in his 20s is the inspiration for this show, which is something I find unbelievable. It has to have been a real challenge to film the scenes from episodes 4 and 6. Entering that mental realm and bringing it to life is quite astounding. This show's ability to move at its own pace was one of my favorite things about it. 7 episodes, not 8 or 10, with lengths varying from 25 to 45 minutes each. The lack of a predetermined plot provided Gadd the freedom to tell the story in his own unique style, which was brilliantly portrayed on screen. As far as concerts go, this one ranks high among the most impactful, intriguing, eerie, and authentic ones I've witnessed thus far in 2018. It is highly recommended that you watch it if you haven't already. Nothing like it has ever been seen before, in my opinion. My thoughts on Baby Reindeer are now in writing. Feel free to click the card on the top right of the screen to access other videos in which I analyze your beloved shows. Another option is to visit my channel, where I have uploaded all of them. In conclusion, my Letterboxd page is the place to go if you want to watch my thoughts on recent films that didn't get a dedicated video.